Call this meeting to order. Good evening and welcome to the Judson regular school board meeting that's set for tonight. This regular meeting of the Judson Board of Trustees is hereby called to order at 7 p.m. I am very pleased that you have taken time to join us this evening. As the Judson Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals and policies and oversee the management of the district. We are responsible for approving budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and to listen to reports from the superintendent. We are not here to make administrative or management decisions pertaining to the daily operation of the district. This is the responsibility of the superintendent. In compliance with the state government code on open meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. This is a meeting in public, not a meeting of the public. As our guest, you are welcome to observe and listen. These proceedings are being video and audio recorded and will become part of Judson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflects these proceedings, please silence your mobile phones and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that these proceedings are recorded accurately, I may have to ask for order periodically should I notice that disruptions are interfering with our recording capabilities. Once again, on behalf of the entire board, I extend to each of you a sincere welcome. Thank you for your interest in the Judson ISD School Board meeting. We have established a quorum, therefore I'll have the roll call. Mr. LaFoyle.
Good evening. Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Ms. Adair.
Good evening.
Goes first. Okay. Mr. Macias, our board secretary.
Good evening. Welcome.
Ms. Williams, our board vice president.
Present, thank you. I just figured we didn't have any special.
Mr. Sellier.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Mr. Flores. And I'm Mr. Arnoldo Salinas. I'm the board president, and good evening, and thank you for being here. I see a lot of new faces. Hopefully we'll see you every month. Dr. Mackey?
Good evening.
We are going to stand up for the invocation by Dr. Mackey, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas flag.
You bow your heads and open your hearts for this prayer. Father, thank you so much for all the wonderful ending of the school year that you have granted us. Thank you for the safety of our children, and thank you for the education that we have restored upon our kids. Lord, we cannot say enough how much you've blessed this district and restored upon us to move forward. We just once again want to say thank you for everything that you've done and you're doing for all of us, oh Lord. Lord, we want to thank you for protecting our armed services from harm's way. We want to thank you for everything that you've done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. I believe we have one recognition.
Yes, sir, we do.
We need to step
Please
up.
have the board come forward.
Please step up.
As the board is coming forward, we are very pleased to introduce representatives from two architectural firms from the area that recently sponsored a very competitive sporting clay competition held for school administrators. They're here tonight to present a check to a couple of Judson's ISDs Eagle Eye Skeet Shooters. First, Garza, Baumberger and Associates is an architectural firm that first opened its doors in 1919 and has played a major role in the development of Central and South Texas. It has been involved in educational architectural design since 1922. Representing Garza, Baumberger and Associates is James Davis, who is partner in GBA's position he's held since 1992. Also co-presenting this check is Pfluger Architects. With 40 years of designing educational facilities, Pfluger has completed more than 700 school projects across the state. Representing Pfluger is Kent Neiman, who is also a partner in the firm and has been with them since 1994. Both these gentlemen are here to present a check for $1,000 to the sharpshooting team of Terry Yacklin and Daniel Kirshner. Terry is the Judson ISD Director of Maintenance, and Daniel is the Director of Operations for the district. While both were on the same team representing Judson ISD, Terry Score, and I'm going to go on. Terry's score was the one that was used and ultimately won the contest. For that outstanding performance, Mr. Davis from GBA and Mr. Neiman from Pfluger would like to present this check for $1,000 to Mr. Yacklin to be donated to the charity of his choice, which of course is the Judson Education Foundation. Mr. Yacklin has decided to donate this check. The foundation, which provides scholarships to deserving students going to college and for grants to help innovative teachers in the classrooms.
Let me just say one thing if I could.
Please.
We didn't realize that you as a judge would have a relative of Roy Rogers.
We always hold a sharpshooter.
The one thing that he didn't do was shoot them out of the sky blindfold. It was impressive. He did a heck of a job.
That's awesome.
First place, incidentally, of everybody competing.
Amazing.
Terry did a great job.
Yeah, and we got comments from the other districts that Judson sent a ringer.
Such a rigor. That's right, we did. That's right, we did. Wonderful. Our thanks to Garza, Baumberger and Associates and Pfluger Architects for sponsoring the event and their support.
Education Foundation. Big check, real check now. Put it in your office.
Do we have any elected officials that I don't know? Or we have? Oh, okay. We do not have any citizens to be heard tonight, so we'll go ahead and do the consideration of consent items. Board members, I'm going to read each item, and if you want to pull the item, make sure and let us know. A, consider and take action regarding approval of board minutes for the regular meeting held May 16, 2013. B, consider and take action regarding approval of board minutes for the special meeting held on May 16, 2013. C, consider and take action regarding approval of monthly financial information as of May 31st, 2013. D, consider and take possible action regarding approval of contracts for professional educators for the 2013-2014 school year. E, consider and take action regarding approval of construction procurement method for the construction of an elementary school on the Copper Field property. On that one, board members will be doing the CSP. F, consider and take possible action regarding construction procurement method for the Evans Road Property High School. On that one, we'll be doing the CSP also. G, consider and take action regarding approval of request for proposals 1309 for orientation and mobility services. H, consider and take action regarding approval of request for proposal 1310 for asphalt repairs pool. I, consider and take action regarding approval of request for proposals 1311 for concrete repairs, and I'm going to pull that one. J, consider and take action regarding approval of request for proposals 1312 student insurance. K, consider and take action regarding approval of request for proposal 1314 for general instructional supplies. L, consider and take action regarding approval for request for proposals 1319 for Wagner High School chiller tower field replacement. Okay, M. This is very long, so I'll have to read all of this. Consider and take action regarding approval of an order by the Board of Trustees of the Judson Independent School District authorizing the issuance of Judson Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2013A, levying a continuing direct annual ad valorem tax for the payment of the bonds, prescribing the form, terms, conditions, and resolving other matters incident and related to the issuance, sale, and delivery of the bonds, including the approval and distribution of an official statement pertaining thereto, authorizing the execution of a paying agent, registrar agreement, an escrow and trust agreement, and a purchase contract complying with the letter of representations on file with the depository trust company, delegating the authority to certain members of the Board of Trustees and district staff to execute certain documents relating to the sale of the bonds and providing an effective date. N. This is another long one, I'm sorry. Consider and take action regarding approval of an order by the Judson Independent School District authorizing the issuance of Judson Independent School District tax unlimited school building bonds, Series 2013, levying a continuing direct annual ad valorem tax for the payment of the bonds, prescribing the form, terms, conditions, and resolving other matters incident and related to the issuance, sale, and delivery of the bonds, including the approval and distribution of an official statement pertaining thereto, authorizing the execution of a paying agent, registrar agreement, and a purchase contract, complying with the letter of representations on file with the depository trust company, delegating the authority of certain members of the Board of Trustees and district staff to execute certain documents relating to the sale of the bonds and providing an effective date. O, consider and take action regarding approval of Board Policy CDA Local 180 Investments. This is the annual review. Do I have a motion? Okay, we have a motion. We're going to be voting on A, B, C, D, K, M, N, and no. We have a motion. Did I get a second?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a... Oh, yes, I'm sorry. And G also.
A, B, C.
G. No, A, B, C, D, G. K, M, N, and no. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. Motion carries. Okay, we'll go back to item E. Consider and take action regarding approval of construction procurement method for the construction of an elementary school on the Copperfield property. Mr. Macias.
We need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Macia, second by Ms. Williams. Discussion.
I wanted to just ask Dr. Mackey a little bit of background. You decided to go with the construction procurement process or method as opposed to the management.
Yeah, no, the construction.
So I just wanted a little explanation just for my understanding of what
Okay,
the differences
it's a
are.
competitive seal proposal, and it's a hard bid.
So I'm going to pretend like I've never done this before. So basically, you'll put out a bid for services.
That's correct.
It'll be a sealed bid,
That's correct.
and we'll get that information coming through our procurement office.
Yes.
Okay. And what's the difference if we decided to go the other route?
If we decide to go the other route, you will have a construction person that will be over that. And we will be hiring a company, and they will be doing the bidding
Okay.
individually, each part.
Is that what we ended up doing for Judson High School, doing a management style bid last time?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I wasn't here, but I was looking at Mr. Elizondo, because, yes, they did.
All right. Okay. I just want some explanation on that. And that actually would answer my question for the other
Okay.
agenda
Yeah,
item as
both
well.
of them, same thing.
So they're both
Same. But you're going to, Mr. Dara's going to amend the other one for.
Yeah, I was going to suggest
Yes,
that.
yes,
we
she's
need
going to
do
amend it
that.
to CSP.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
Is that what you're recommending, Dr.
Yes,
Mackey?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. I just want to make
Yes,
sure.
sir.
Okay, board member, any other board members question on item E? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's go ahead and vote on item E. All those in favor of the motion signifying by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. Motion carries. F, consider and take possible action regarding construction procurement method for Evans Road Property High School, and you said, Mr.
Motion
Matsi-
to approve as CSP.
Second.
Right.
It was motion to approve the CSP.
Competitive seal proposal.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and we got a second by Mr. LaFoille. Discussion. Hearing no discussion. All those in favor of the motion signifying by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. Motion carries. Item H, consider and take action regarding approval of request for proposal 1310 for asphalt repairs, and I pulled that item, and that's on page 54. I just have a question here for, is our purchasing agent here? Oh, I'm sorry. We have a motion by Ms. Adair and second by Ms. Williams. Dr. Mackey,
Yes.
my question is, sir, we had four, looks like we had four people that bid on the job. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
My question is, if we're doing the proposal for asphalt repairs,
That's correct.
okay? On the first vendor, he said he can do it for $19,866.
That's correct.
The second vendor, 23,000, then the third vendor, 43,000. This is my concern. The fourth vendor says, oh no, I'll do it for $80,053. That's almost $60,000 difference.
That's
Maybe
correct.
you or
That's correct. That's
somebody
correct.
can explain what happened.
Mr. Elizondo?
Well, it's really difficult to explain, Mr. Salinas. I mean, the simple answer is that different companies have different levels of overhead. They have certain profit margins. There are certain sizes. So some, for this Meyer Concrete Construction, the highest one here, it may be that they're more comfortable or would rather do larger projects. So they'll bid on smaller projects, but they're going to bid it at a premium, saying kind of, if we get it, that's great, but we're going to make a lot of money at it. Where the other company that's up here is used to doing smaller projects, that's what they like to do, and they're going to bid it a little bit cheaper because that's in their niche that they like to work on those smaller projects.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that for $19,866, he's going to do all the required repairs that we said, because it says repairs, and supposedly he's going to do it while the other guy wanted the $80,000, but he's going to do the same job, but he's only going to do it for less than $20,000.
Same specifications, they will all work under the same specifications. It will be reviewed by the district staff to make sure they're doing it as we specified. So yes, they're going to do the same work.
Has this company ever done work for us?
That I couldn't tell you. Do you know that, Mr. Kushner? I couldn't, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I can check, but I'm not sure.
Oh, no, that's all right. I was just asking. Okay. Any other board member have questions?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I think in the past we've had some discussion about the criteria for the proposals, and I do note on the this particular ranking there are 3 categories that are just essentially all the same numbers. Quality of services offered, max 15 points. All 4 bids got 13 points. And then, of course, you have reputation of vendor, 10 points. All of them got 10 points. And then past relationship with the district, all 10 points max. They all got 10 points. So it almost seems like, do we need those questions? Are those criteria even part of that evaluation? I'm just kind of putting that out there for discussion. But I think another question I have that's more important than that one, I just wanted to note that, was that sometimes, you get what you buy or you get what you pay for. And so when we have a vendor saying we can do the job at $19,000 or 20, and we have 2 that go from 23 to 43 and 1 at 80, it just makes me wonder how that disparity could be. I could see the 19 and 23 being in the same ballpark, but then you go from 1923 to 43 and then 43 to 80. How do we know we're getting the best product? I mean, we've scored the individual company with $20,000, 50 points higher than anyone else just based on the cost alone. And of course, I don't want to put our district in a position where we're getting what we paid for. So how are we safeguarding it that we're getting the best bid, not the lowest bid, but the best bid for the district? Can you talk a
Okay.
little bit about that?
Well, when you look at these 4 companies, and I can't see which one has ever worked with Judson ISD, but I can tell you when you get the larger bids like that, you can just go to a car salesman, and they may have, all car dealers can have a different price for the same car. That's what this is, a sales pitch. If these people have enough work and they don't need your business, then they're going to raise that price up. However, you get someone with the lower price, they sharpen that pencil and they want our business, and they're going to follow the specs. Because we have a architects that follows it, make sure they follow the specs. So if they don't, then we'll look for someone else if it doesn't happen. But we have someone on top of it.
Well, and just I know that when we've had work done, we've had some inferior work done to some of our facilities where we've had to go in and rebuild. I'm not exactly getting the best example coming to mind, but just let's look at example, the track. We were told that there were some problems with it. We paid for it, and we had to go back and we had to pay some more money for it.
Okay, which track are you talking about?
The Judson, the actual district facility. I want to say that we had some issues with that, and we had to go back and spend more money on it. And don't, I mean, I'm just throwing an example
Yeah, I'm
out
just
there.
trying to think
But
about it.
the idea behind that is that we're spending $20K on this job,
Yes.
and I just am not sure that we've actually done our homework to see if that's going to be the best deliverable for our district. Based on any of their past work with other districts. I want to hear that that type of research has been done before we decide to just go with the lowest bid.
Yes. Mr. Ashmore is on vacation this week, and he's not here. So I can't answer that question. Mr. Elizondo, can you?
Honestly, Dr. Mackey, with their proposals, they do submit reference letters, and we do contact the references to make sure, and that's where the reputation of the vendor comes into play here, when you see on those points, that they were contacted and they showed that they were able to perform work at other districts. If we got back and said no, that they don't do good work or what have you, then we would have counted them down points on that particular one. If they did a lousy job everywhere else and everybody's saying don't use them, then we would not. I mean, we definitely wouldn't include them. But Dr. Mackey's right. I mean, we'll use them on the first job, and it's not going to be a $19,000 job the very first time we use them, and we'll see what kind of work they do. And if we're not happy with their work, then that'll be the last job they do for us.
I just want to ask my colleagues, am I worrying about something small, you think, guys? What are your thoughts?
You want my opinion?
I'm asking.
It's asphalt repair. It's not architectural structure. It's a base, and it's asphalt. That's it. You gravel and asphalt to repair it. Usually the reason that asphalt gives way and hold because it has a poor base. Now, if you fix the base and the asphalt, that's good. I mean, that's your criteria. On the track, and correct me if I'm right, Mr. Kirshner, we bid the track, and after they got into it, they came to us and said, hey, you got some sub problems here underneath the track. We can go ahead and meet our bid requirement, but if you want this done right, let's do it right. That was the thing on the track, because it wasn't until they got into it and dug down and found that the base was wrong, just like asphalt base is wrong. It's not like we're constructing a building here, it's asphalt, and I can tell you what contractors do. They'll throw all kinds of bids out there just to see if they hit one. You know, $80,000 bid versus $19,000. I mean, you're exactly right. That's a huge spread, but you know, they'll bid on things that are overhead and there's all kinds of factors. But it's an individual contractor's bid. It's basically kind of like what Dr. Mackey, it's how hungry are you? You know, it's how hungry are you? I mean, it's not like we're doing, a perfect example is Kitty Hawk, you know, and Miss Adair and Richard was around here longer than I have been, but they didn't build Kitty Hawk right, and we've been repairing Kitty Hawk for a very long time. How many times have we went into Kitty Hawk and fixed Kitty Hawk? But that was because they did the lowest bidder and everything bad. But we got a different team in place now. We got checks and balances now to our bidding and repairs. So I don't have a problem with this bid.
The other question that I had, Dr. Mackey, they have to be bonded, right? Okay. So the company is bonded. Okay. That's fine with me. Anybody else? Okay. No further Go ahead, sir.
I actually would like to talk, I think, more with our procurement office about how they do a little more, just so I have a better understanding and feel a little bit more comfortable going forward. This is one bid, but there'll be more bids, and so that way we can kind of report back to the board on what Mr. Ashmore may have said. Is that all right with you, Dr. Mackey? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signifying by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, likewise. Motion carried. Item, consider and take action regarding approval request proposal 1311 for concrete repair.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Salyer, second by Mr. LaFoyle. And again, I requested that this is doing repairs for concrete. We have three bidders. The first one said, hey, I can do your job for $11,486, while the other one said no. The third one, the highest, he says, I can do it. Well, let me retract. The first one is $11,486. The second one is $33,048. The third one is $51,202. So it's the same question. If they're going to be doing concrete repairs, I mean, but you just gave me you said they're bonded. So I'm willing to take a chance for the 11,000, but there's a big difference between 1133 and 51. Now, maybe the 51 or the 80 that we're talking about, maybe they really don't want the bid. Maybe that's why they go high. But they want their name to be recognized in the district for future or something. But anyway, any other questions or concerns?
Mr. President, I don't have a question or concern. I just thought maybe it would help you if you note the company that has the highest bid. They're a concrete construction company. The second company, their construction, I'm familiar with that company as well. And so what it looks like is the first company, they're a small company, they're probably a small business, and this is all they do. All they do is asphalt, all they do is concrete. And so the other companies, like Dr. Mackey said, they're doing construction, they're doing big jobs. And so if they bid, they're competing for big money, but I don't think there's anything wrong or any worries with the company that's being recommended by the district.
No, but that's the same company that had the 80,000.
Exactly. They're not construction companies.
Yeah, but this one is on the concrete. Yes, I know. I understand. Okay. Any other? Yes, sir.
Which you made a real good point, Ms. Adair. Are we not putting this out there for light companies to bid?
Yeah, we put it out. It's
So-
on the paper.
That's a protocol, right? Procedure. Okay. Thank you.
RFQ, yes, sir.
They paid all that money.
Yes, sir.
We have given our superintendent the discretion to spend up to $50,000.
Yes, sir.
Is there a reason this is coming to the board?
Yes.
Well, it's because we didn't
know how these people are going to bid. And if you look back at W.T. Murphy, they've got both those projects. So if we give any one vendor $50,000 or more, we have to bring that to you. And that was part of why we wanted to go out for these RFPs, because if any one vendor was going to get more than $50,000, we had to bring that to you.
And there's another.
One vendor, if there was less than $50,000, no one will bring this to the board.
That's not true. That's not true. And also what happens too, and I'm sorry, and it said in the language of that, we may exceed $50,000, period, for that item, whether it's asphalt or whether it's category. So once we are going to exceed the $50,000, the procurement laws kick in for the state of Texas, and says at that point you need to bring it to the board. So we know that it's possible for us to go over the $50,000, so we're bringing them to you now to know, go ahead and approve the vendor, and we know that we're okay to use that vendor.
Wait a minute now, we're approving these for this amount of money. So, I don't want to hear what I make over
No, it's not for this project, but we may have additional asphalt repair throughout the year, what have you, and instead of saying, oh, we're going to award it to this particular contractor, then we know that we have the authorization to continue to award it to them, and the board has said, okay, you can use this particular general contractor because that's who has shown they're going to give us the best price.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. No further discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. Motion carries. Okay, the other one was J. Consider take action regarding approval of request for proposal 1312 student athletic insurance. We have a motion second by Mr. LaFoyle. And I believe you pulled that one, Mr. Maciel?
Athletic insurance. Dr. Mackey, talk to me a little bit about that. Alamo Insurance has been doing that business for some time now?
The previous company was not Alamo Insurance. It was the brokerage store that did the previous 2 fiscal years for that particular coverage.
And tell me a little bit about what that encompasses, just from my understanding. What does athletic insurance encompass?
We offer this insurance we provide it to all of our students who participate in any kind of extracurricular activity, whether it's football, basketball, band, ROTC, all the different extracurricular activities. And when a student gets hurt in any one of those activities, then we provide for medical coverage for them to go to the doctor and make sure that they get health service to make sure that they're treated.
Go ahead.
And I believe, and we pay for that, right?
Yes, sir. We pay for it.
Okay. No problem, sir. It's for the safety of our students, and I don't have a problem with that. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
And we actually had to use it, I assume, last year several times, just attending certain sporting events. I noticed our
yes,
kids
sir.
were
We've had a lot of claims over the last year and the year prior as well.
I have some questions I think that Mr. Ashmore could answer, and I'll just defer to him when I talk to him about just procedural, nothing that would impact this discussion, but just from my own understanding. But I'll reach out to him a little later. That's all I have.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
On the bid here, and maybe it's to Mr. McMahon's to answer, but I notice it says it's zero deductible is less expensive than a $250 deductible. Is that? I don't know. To me, it always seemed the other way around. Is that? Yeah, and that's at 101,000, and then.
Yeah, I have with me Wayne Malzone, who's the Executive Vice President of the Monarch, which actually is our MGA, Managing General Agent, at our company that oversees our student athletic insurance area department. So I'm going to let him answer that.
There were we proposed 3 different plans for the district to consider. The first plan that we proposed was to duplicate your current plan of benefits, which has a $250 deductible per injury, and then provides 100% coverage for kids that don't have insurance. If they have primary health care insurance, then it's secondary to that insurance, so the primary plan would pay first. I think your question was, one of the plans, it's called the Custom UNC plan, that, by the way, that plan priced out at $103,448, your current plan, to continue the coverage exactly the way it is. We also proposed a second plan at $108,470, which has a schedule of benefits that are very rich benefits, but that has no deductible to it. So there's no deductible when a child is injured. But if the child goes into what we call a student athletic network, it's like a miniature PPO network. For instance, a provider like Dr. DeLee, the Spurs Network orthopedic specialist, he's in this network. A child that got injured at Judson could go and set an appointment to go and see him, and he would accept those plan benefits as payment in full. He would not balance bill the parent. This is a way to help the district control its costs going forward. And that's why these options were prepared for the district to consider. I had these conversations with Mr. Ashmore after the bids were received. He had some questions, and Coach Miller was on a conference call with me, and we discussed these options. The third option, which is called the Premier Plus plan, is essentially a no-deductible plan. It's priced at $94,694.
Excuse me, I don't see those prices on what? Are they in that sheet? I was looking at the recommendation.
On page 65 is all the details.
Essentially, that plan works exactly the same the custom plan works. It just has a lower schedule of benefits. The providers are the same providers. They just agree to accept a lower payment and still not bill the parent for a balance due.
I think maybe the answer, I'm going to try to say it in layman's terms, and that is when you were asking about, one of them is no deductible, and it's a little bit higher than the other one's a $250 deductible. The one that, what is the usual and customary plan, they can go anywhere. I mean, they can go anywhere you want, but it's got a $250 deductible. The other one, no deductible, but the network is a smaller network, but it's a good network. I mean, it's a great network.
It's a broad network.
It's broad.
Now, by the way, if the parent or the parent of the child chooses to have the kid go to
in network, out of network,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I can understand that.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay, no further. Thank you, sir. Okay. Number one. The zero deductible, right?
Okay, it's the custom. No, the premier plan.
They should put 100.
Okay. Yes. Okay. No problem. No. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Mr. Salinas, I'd like to make sure that the motion is clear since I made the motion. Let me restate the motion for the record. I move to accept the district's recommendation of the Access Premier Plan with an annual premium of $101,019.
Yep. That's the right one. Yes.
Okay. So we're okay now? Okay. No further discussion. We have a good understanding. All those in favor of the motion signifying by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. Motion carries. We have one more here.
L.
Consider and take action regarding approval of request for proposal 1319 for Wagner High School chiller tower field replacement.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Williams.
Second.
Second by Mr. Macias. Discussion. Mr. Macias?
I pulled.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was you?
Mm-hmm.
Ms.
Yep.
Williams?
Sure. Dr. Wright, it might be actually Mr. Krishner question, but I just wanted to ask about why we're replacing it, not the bids itself. That all is fine. It's a relatively new school, so was there maintenance? Did we see this come in? Is this something that we expected at this point? Because this seems pretty early on to be replacing this.
Yeah, there is, within the cooling towers, there's some material that's called media, and this is what we're replacing is the media. It's a PVC type material. It's a real black, fine material, and it does break down. This did break down a little bit more prematurely than we expected, but it did break down. Matter of fact, last year when they pulled all this stuff out, they just had bags of it. It was just all crumbled out. So we're putting in a little bit different, hardier material in there this time, so we don't have that same kind of crumbling.
Okay, and what kind of warranty does that have?
I can't answer that. I don't know the answer to that. I can get the information, though.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signifying by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. Motion carries. Before we go into item 5, discussion items, our legal representatives are here, and we are going to have to go into closed session. This board will now adjourn into closed session at 7:42 pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. 551.072 discussing personnel or to hear complaints against personnel. Okay. We adjourn to the
Nothing will be.
code section 551.074, discussing personnel, and B, pursuant to Texas Government Code section 551.071, consultation with the district attorney regarding cause number 2012-C1-20399- Maria Hortensia Ruiz versus Judson Independent School District and Michael L. Williams, the State Commissioner of Education in the District Court of Bexar County, Texas, 131st Judicial District Court. Okay, now we adjourn. Executive session. No vote was taken while in executive session. We will continue with item. We're back at 8:10. Mr. Flores will be giving us an update after each quarter, so you don't have to worry about having to leave the board.
Yeah. Hopefully, we won't be here for that many quarters. So.
Okay, sir. Okay, discussion items and reports. A, Superintendent Report, Dr. Mackey.
Okay.
That we have a slight dip. Overall, we're above the state and the state and the region scores, but in the fourth grade, sixth grade, and the ninth grade we have some areas that we're gonna improve on and work towards improvement on right there. So that's the areas, but if you could see all the other areas, you could see that, especially in 7th grade, 8th grade, 3rd grade, and 5th grade, that we've made some substantial improvements. So these are things that we're working on, and at this time, as the data keeps coming in, we're working on it, but we see a lot of good things that's going on in the district, and we want to continue to strengthen the good things, and the areas that we were borderline, a little bit below the state, we want to work on. So that's the data. Sometimes y'all want it in my office, I have a data chart here, I have a data chart, and then I have every score within the district I keep in my office at all times in case someone ever asks a question about why we're making decisions we make. We're making data-driven decisions. So that's it, Mr. President.
Any questions, board? Go ahead.
Now, is this the same data that would eventually be evaluated for AYP status?
Yes.
Yes. Now, I wanted you to help clarify something you told me the other day, that we had some schools under AYP, but a lot of that is as a result of a federal guideline.
That's correct. AYP is strictly federal guidelines.
So when we were given that status, essentially, if I remember how it was explained, since the guidelines are so high, many of our schools might actually qualify under AYP. Is that something that's correct?
That's correct. As I think it's next year, it goes to 100%. 100%. So every school in the state of Texas will not meet it. Everybody will not meet it.
So would it be inappropriate or incorrect to say that we have failing schools? Or,
No.
We
No.
don't
No.
truly have failing
No.
schools. What was the AYP before it started this change? What was the threshold for it? It's 100%?
It's a different threshold every year. It started about 70%, went to 80%, 90%, now it's 100%. It's the last 5 or 6 years. It's been moving up.
Because of the No Child Left Behind.
Yes.
So we actually do not have any failing schools then, in your opinion, right now?
No.
That would fall into that?
As far as I can see, as far as the state accountability, no. But the federal accountability, we have schools that didn't meet the AYP.
That's fine.
And
Thank
the
you.
state has also asked for a waiver. Is
That's correct. That's correct.
A lot of states did, but Texas was not. They finally, this new commissioner did that. So that should, I hope they do accept that. Okay, you gave it the, okay.
Ask the question. Ms. Robinson, did you see any failing low-performing schools with the state standards?
Well, we don't know what the standards are in every category, but we, at elementary, we have some as well.
Okay. And, okay, we don't know what the state standards are this year. They haven't given it to us, so we,
Four categories, we can predict two, we don't know the standards.
That data comes out in August.
yes, we'll know in August. So right now, we don't know, I can't, but we'll know in August.
But we do know that elementary will go to state.
Okay.
Dr. Mackey, could you provide the board, well, at least I would like to have a copy, not what you have, just those in a page. I don't know how many pages it would be. If it's not too much trouble. Okay. Is that okay with the board? Would you like to? Oh, okay. Yeah, in color, yes. Okay. The next item is B, discussion STEM report. Dr. Mackey.
Yes, I think we have, if you look at the information in the board book, I know Ms. Brady has presented the first time, so if you would look there on page 190.
190, no, 200, starting 200.
Start 200.
Yes.
You can see the mission driven leadership and implement the mission vision goals and activities. You can see the information right there that we've been presenting to you all. So it's all a report within the board book.
We got it. June, are you up, June? Did you push your button, June? Okay.
Ms. Sader.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Appreciate the information and the hard work that the STEM committee both the staff and the volunteers have done to bring this together. I just have one very important question. Who's paying for this? Where's the money coming from? That's the question.
Okay, and that's going to be a board decision. You know, we putting this together. The staff has been working for, a year and a half on this right here, and it's just like JECA, dual language, or JLA, or boot camp. You know, it's strictly out of local funds that we're going to have to figure. That's where it's going to come from.
Okay, so Dr. Mackey, I'd like to draw the board's attention to page 215. And on page 215, the approximate cost, planning year is $134,500. Year one.
Page what, ma'am?
Page 215.
Yeah.
Year one, $448,475. Year two, $757,275. And 2016 to 17, $1,212,275. And that's the staffing needs. And then, in addition to that, we have the central office department, $45,000 in the planning year, $149,380 in year one, $162,450 in year two, and $177,000 in year three, in addition to the first numbers I read off. I just came back from Fort Worth Summer Leadership, and we know that STEM is important. That's the way our job force is going. But I want the board to just keep in mind we're going to be opening a new high school along with all of those staffing allocations and an additional elementary school. And, you know, as we make a decision tonight, one item is for a STEM director, but that's just one position as an initial step. And so please look at the whole picture. I think we need to have some discussion about all of our special programs and where the money, you know, is going to come from to continue to fund these. You know, I just hate us to not pay attention to the money and to take any steps that would downgrade our current high schools, such as pre-calculus having 30-plus students in it this year, and we need another calculus teacher. And so I took that small piece against this huge sum of money. And like Dr. Mackey said, it's the board that's driving this train. Dr. Mackey's bringing us the information and recommendations, but the law says that the board is responsible for the budget. And so I'm just asking the board members to please consider that. Thank you.
Mr. Salyer.
Yeah, my only I mean, first of all, I don't see how we can't do STEM, so I support STEM. The only question I had was kind of on June's line. On page 7, the STEM director, we're supposed to hire one by December 2013. Is that budgeted already?
That's part of the approval for the budget approval.
It's in
Right.
the
It's
recommendation.
in, what I'm saying, it's actually in there as a line item. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Salinas?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I forgot page 218. The transportation cost annually was an additional $13,129.92.
Page what? Oh, 218, thank you. How much was that, man? For the first year? Oh, no, that's when the students, no, you go ahead, ma'am, I'll talk in a minute. Oh, okay. Definitely, I will be supporting STEM 100%, but I understand also, Ms. Adair, I know you're concerned with the budget money. I believe, and Dr. Mackey, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that it's been discussed that there will be grants that will be available once we start our STEM program. Is that correct?
I don't know. Anybody know, Mr.?
There's still money in the
Oh, okay. When, once it gets to the third year or the fourth year, because that's when they're going to have freshmen, that's, we will be having. Okay. The other question is, am I correct? This is going to be at the Judson Middle School? Okay. And you're saying that we're putting money aside to go ahead and hire a director starting August or September, whenever. Is that correct, sir? For the school year? Okay. And actually, on next year's budget, that's when we really have to make sure that we're going to fund the 440, well, let's say about $500,000, because that's going to be the first year, and it's only going to be 6th graders. Is that correct? I believe I saw 125. Is that correct? Approximately, just like Jacka. Right. I thought that's what I saw. I did read. Oh, yes, right there. Do you see it, ma'am? On the very top on page 214. Okay. And then the second year, and then the third year, and of course, then by then, you start with the freshmen, which should be 125. Because that'll be the next wages, right? They'll just follow. Okay, the other question is, once we get selecting students, are they going to do something similar like the JECA? Do you know? They're going to go to the middle schools, or what kind of? Oh, good. Selection, are they going to follow the procedure that they do with JECA? I've had several parents tell me about the JECA that they wish they would have been when their kids were in school. It's too late for them already. But and I'm sure you're prepared to advertise this STEM program way before starting the school year next year or something, and really try and get the parents involved so they will understand all what's going to be required, and that it's not just going to be A students, but I'm pretty sure you're going to have some qualifications, because if I have 15, 20 referrals in the office, definitely I don't think I would qualify. But and those are the kind of things that your committee will be looking into as to what kind of students are we going to have here. And to me, discipline, attendance is very important, very important. So just like the JECA. So I am glad that finally we're going to be having a class. I wish we could start it this year. I'm excited. And but hopefully by next year we'll be seeing the first class of the STEM program. And Mr. Bell, I'm glad you're volunteering, sir. I've known you for a while. And I know you're caring for students, and you and I work together when we're in the middle school, and I know what kind of work you do with students, and I think it's terrific, sir, that you're on this committee, just like the rest of the people there too, okay? And thank you for volunteering.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
You stated that you were going to have a waiting list in case somebody moved away. Is that child going to be able to catch up with the rest of the people?
Well, it depends on what time of year. So
Yeah.
if a student moves away in early September and we have a waiting list, that would be still a good time to bring another student on board.
Okay. I just didn't want them towards the end, in the second year of the program, whop somebody in there and they've lost the whole first year.
Our initial understanding of the student enrollment would be based on a lottery system. We wanted to have it open to all students, and we didn't want to hand select any particular students as if to have a brain drain from anywhere around the community. Our initial idea was to have some type of a lottery type system in place to get those initial students enrolled. If something did occur with one of those individuals, that individual, the thought process currently is that that individual be counseled. We'll see if they need to be sent back to their home campus, and that's what the waiting list would be for, to have someone else that would step up that didn't make that initial 125 on the lottery to be able to move into that position. The curriculum is going to be heavily based on project-based learning rather than just pen-to-paper curriculum, which will be part of the curriculum, but it's going to be heavily influenced by project-based learning, which means we want to try to get science, technology, engineering, mathematics, robotics type activities. We're going to be coordinating Mr. Fullerton. He's hiding behind me with Project Lead the Way from high school and some of his engineering applications. And the theory is that the grade would come from the completion of these projects as the school year goes on. If a student were to come in the middle of the year, I'm sure consideration will be taken to let them kind of get up to speed and just start where we are in the middle of that project. They may or may not be expected to go back, do some previous research, or maybe it might be more feasible to have them just get in and start whatever level the projects that the kids are currently on.
I have another question. Are you going to, you say a lottery system. Now, are you going to look at the child's backgrounds, his grades, and things like that? Or are you just going to throw some kid in there that's getting an E or an F and say, hey, you're going to make it?
Our initial conversation on that was that we wanted to be flexible and open it to the majority of the community, meaning that I'm not sure where we were in exactly trying to weed people out from their previous records. I don't know if we wanted to go that route. I think we wanted to leave it open for everyone at first, and as they continue the program, if obstacles come up, they would be addressed at that time on an individual basis.
I think we want to make it succeed. We like JECA, have a percentage of kids going all the way through.
It's based on interest. So you have students, typically students who are not, well, I want to say typically, because sometimes you have students who are not engaged and they're making low grades, but perhaps they have a strong interest in math and science. And so if they have that interest in math and science, we want to give them an opportunity to work in their area of interest. And so because it's an engaging, we're planning an engaging hands-on curriculum, those are the types of students who sometimes are not as engaged at their home campuses who will succeed. So it's really all about student choice, their interests, and their success.
The STEM program is, like it was mentioned earlier, is based on the problem-based learning. Also, it's a little unique in terms of this conceptually, very unique. If you look at the JECA, it's based on dual credit system. This is a school within the school. This type of educational enterprise will be something that will give kids more flexibility in what they do. This is going to be a school within the school. It's going to be school within the school concept, which means those students not only can attend STEM, they also can participate in athletics. And so when you look at the admission officers throughout this country, they want well-rounded individuals who can perform at high levels. And when they see these students participate in many, many extracurricular activities and maintain a high GPA, they said, we know those students know how to manage their time. So now you have JECA serves its purpose in terms of dual credit. You have STEM will serve its purpose by giving those kids opportunities. So we have a young lady that's been in the 9th grade, and she's going to be in the IB program, but she's the #1 chair person in the region band. So not only she has the opportunity to participate in the STEM program, but she has the opportunity to maximize her potentiality in all different forms of what she does in athletics or in band or in orchestra. So they have very opportunities to excel in many areas.
Just one final comment about the selection of the students. We really did not want to go around and handpick all of the GT or pre-AP or all the special kids at other campuses and try to bring them into this one area. We didn't feel that that would be the proper route to go. Then that's the reason why our initial idea was possibly some type of a lottery type system. Right now, that's our initial idea that we're going to attempt to proceed under. If we come up with another option that is more feasible, then I'm sure we'll entertain that also.
There's currently in place procedures for the students that go to the academies at the different high schools to go from one attendance zone to the other to meet the academy requirements. We're going to try and stay within the established procedures of the district for that already. We're not trying to invent nothing new. We're just going to bring in a new group of students. That's all. Okay?
Okay. Finish, Mr. Ford? Okay, I had a question about the academy director, but I'll get to that. Mr. Macias.
I do appreciate all the hard work the committee has done and individuals like yourself. Thank you. I remember when we brought this issue, it was brought to the board several months ago. I don't know if it was a year ago now, but you know, the question that was posed back then was, would we seriously look at this product after all the hard work went through? And I had stated absolutely. It's something that I believe in, and right now I still believe in that. I think that we are charged with producing excellence, and I think this program will help that bottom line. I do have a question about the curriculum, though. STEM it's a great concept that we're bringing to the district, but it's not a new program. There are other districts, other states that have a STEM-type program. Are we taking the best that those type of programs offer, or how are we building this curriculum?
Yes, we've been on, some committee members have been on quite a few tours of other STEM academies, some here in San Antonio, some out of town. We already have made those contacts to try to get that information and to see what curriculum they're using, what's working best. Our goal is to attempt to have a real nationally recognized STEM academy rather than just a school that we stick STEM on there. If we can fulfill the qualifications to be a nationally recognized STEM academy, that would open up a lot of funding streams and other opportunities. Plus, we'd be able to affiliate with national curriculum that is based on actual STEM objectives rather than just trying to stick the name STEM on the door and hope that everything is going well.
Now, your assessment, students that go through this program would also score better on their STAR test or any other standardized test?
Absolutely, yes. Partly because the reasoning behind project-based learning, you're trying to take an application of what the kid is working with, and it requires creativity and imagination on their part to not just read the book and regurgitate the data, but to see what the activity is, what the goal is, where we're trying to go to, be creative and imaginative, and come up with that answer. Those types of skills are what are really needed on the STARS test, which a lot of, basically, they're based on minimum qualifications. And if a student has the necessary curiosity and imagination and creativity and the way to go about viewing the data to be successful and has a purpose in taking it, then they will be successful. And it could come from the project-based imagination and creativity of completing STEM activity requirements.
I just have one other candid remark. It's not a question, but just a piece of advice. We, a couple of years ago, had to cut our AVID program, another program that I really was an advocate and believed in, and I really hated to see it go. Yeah. We will obviously encounter some difficult choices in our budgets as we go forward, and I would ask that you try to quantify everything that you do in terms of how many of your students are going to be college bound, what those STAR test scores look like. You know, anything that you can say this is worth every dollar that we're spending, because I wouldn't want our board to have to make a decision 4 years or 5 years down the road to potentially axe the program because we don't have resources. This is something I think we need to invest in. So just
We
put
already
that
have
out there.
plans to affiliate with St. Philip's College and some of the other universities and businesses around town, where hopefully our middle school kids will already have access to some type of college information, a recruiter. They have an idea of where they want to go, not only to college but also vocational programs. So we didn't want to leave that out.
Well, and also, when I went to Judson Middle School for that science project day,
The STEM Saturday.
there was a STEM Saturday.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Students were engaged. It was, and you just see the potential the
Yes, sir.
program has. So
Yes, sir.
I'm sold. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm just wondering, on your curriculum that you're building, are you building to expand? Because STEM has been around for a while, that word, and now I've heard it's STEAM, adding arts to it eventually. Will we be able to expand the curriculum?
We might be able to. Right now, our current ideas was to try to get a STEM academy that is nationally recognized and able to be nationally affiliated. None of the data that we've gone over so far included the arts or elective type components, humanities type components. But as we're going along, we're still in the process of developing what we're working with here.
Currently, the Engineering Academy at Wagner High School uses a program that's called Project Lead the Way. Our students normally graduate in the top 20% of the academy. We've had 5 or 6 valedictorians, salutatorians from Wagner. All the kids that have graduated in the 7 years since we've been open are gainfully employed, either going to college or in the military, and they're moving on. They continually drop in and say hi and let us know how they're doing. But there's a middle school component to this. We currently pay for site licenses for a large number of computer programs that have enough seats for us to extend down to the middle school. So our curriculum base for the engineering compartment of STEM transitions all the way down to middle school, so there's no expenses for software. It uses the standard computer setup the rest of the district uses. You're just going to add additional lab in there. And it interfaces. It's an internationally recognized program, and you can hit it up by, if you want to do a little research on it, projectleadtheway.org. It's on the internet. And if anybody wants to see more of it, they can make arrangements for me.
Thank you. I want to make 2 things perfectly clear. I'm not opposed to STEM. I think that is what our students need. I think we have to look at our resources and how can we impact the most children with this same technology. 125 kids when we have over 5,000 high school students right now currently is a very small number for the amount of dollars divided by the number of students. I would be interested in knowing what proposals administration can come up with to include more science, technology, engineering into our current high school curriculum. And I'm familiar with Project Lead the Way. When we first did it, I did some research on it, and I just recently attended a graduation with the Texas Workforce in the Alamo Community College District, where they did that compressed engineering, math, machinists, all that. It was fantastic. So our students need this, but sometimes we can't be traditional, and we know other districts have STEM. We know they have large STEMs. We also know that they have a larger tax base, a larger business base, and I was an avid proponent of Avid. I mean, I learned about Avid, and it took years to get this district to do Avid. So I was even more disappointed than Mr. Macias when I watched Avid go by the wayside because of funding. And so, you know, it's better to look at everything, the big picture in the beginning, than 4 years from now we say, it was a great program, the kids did great, but we don't have the money. So, you know, just alongside of as we're doing this, and I'm certain we're going to approve a STEM director tonight, but, you know, Dr. Mackey, just what are we going to do with all the other kids that need science, technology, engineering? What are we doing to add more STEM courses in our regular curriculum for all of our kids?
I think there's a misconception about STEM. STEM is just taking all of those things and tying them together. It's cross-curricular collaboration, throwing in engineering, and making it all work. At Wagner, it's not uncommon for the physics teachers to come down and bug me for goodies. Or, hey, I want to do this. How do you know how to do it? Our teachers come visit. A lot of people just come down and brainstorm and come up with ideas and concepts, and we don't even have to spend money half the time.
Well, then, when you say there's a
grants.
misconception, can you explain to me?
We're not teaching anything new in science.
No, I understand that.
It's
What is the significance of creating a STEM academy that's going to cost $500,000 for 125 kids versus, you know, I understand what
I
we
understand
have,
where you're going.
but I'm trying to understand why we need a separate STEM academy.
I think we're misunderstanding. It's not 125 students for the entire academy. The first year, it's 125, and we will add 125 students each year. So we could have anywhere from, 300 to 400 students at the middle school level. And then we want to advance those students to high school. Now, in our research, when we visited campuses, those campuses that started STEM at 9th grade wish they hadn't. Because what happens is those kiddos enter 9th grade thinking they're interested in STEM, and by the time they graduate, the class size was reduced tremendously at those schools. And all of them said they wish they had started at middle school. Because when you start at middle school, the kids really learn to develop that interest in science. And so when they get to high school, it's more purposeful.
Well, I know you mentioned robotics.
Mhm.
In the last budget meeting, I think we talked about we didn't have robotics at all of our elementary schools. Is that right? We only have it at Roland Middle.
No, we have a grant, it's plus roll.
Russell, or Roland Middle is the championship.
Well, they went first, they did it a year ago, and then this year we added 1100 students.
So just, so you understand what I'm saying, Dr. Murphy? So just, we need to
Mhm.
make sure we have a big,
We do.
broad STEM focus in our district because that is the way
We do.
that our children need to have that extra.
The science standards for the national standards, the next generation science standards, are now written to incorporate and embed the STEM courses and topics. So our new science standards will have the integration of technology and engineering. So kids will receive that across the board. This is just a magnet program for the students who really have an interest in those fields, and so we need more of those students graduating from our high schools and colleges.
The other thing to consider in regards to money is that there are a lot of grants available as we develop this program in the first 4 years. By the time that we get to a high school level with it, we can also look at the option of CAPE funding for those courses. So we have that funding source available to us as they begin the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So we are looking at that as a committee as to what's the best funding model to provide more resources for the program.
And I did see that on the page in here, Mark, page 213, where you all have a goal of January 2014 to have a budget goal and some together, so we'll be looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. Item C, natatorium committee report. Dr. Mackey?
Mr. Kirshner.
The screen.
Thank you. Good evening. I know it's getting late. The bad news is I have 97 slides. The good news is most of them are hidden. And I know that we all want to get out of here because I know the Spurs are 3 points down. and we want to get back and cheer on them. Mr. Flores, please feel free to interrupt me any time when they pull ahead. My name is John Borland, and I'm the spokesperson for the MetroCom Natatorium Steering Committee. We're not a government body at all. We're an agency or a grouping of concerned citizens that formed a committee to bring order to the chaos when it comes to bringing a natatorium to the MetroCom area. I think I got picked as the spokesperson for the steering committee because I had to leave the room during the vote, so I got the short end of the stick. Our vision is to bring a world-class multi-use natatorium serving the MetroCom area for all ages in this area, from kids to adults. The mission is to build community support to fund, construct, operate, and maintain a multifaceted facility in support of the aquatics program. I know that over the past few years, there's been a lot of interest, a lot of fits and starts about building a new pool in this area. We all know that we need one. 2 years ago, we know that we had to close down the Judson Pool temporarily while we did some structural repairs. The benefit that we have is we all have kids that are in the swim program. We get to see a lot of the natatoriums, the facilities, and the operations around this area and in South Texas. So we've got a pretty good idea of what we really need here and what would benefit this area. Here's the current situation that we have. We've got a 5-lane, 25-yard pool. It's an indoor pool. It's old. It was built in the 1970s. Now, we're glad we have an indoor pool. A lot of our communities don't have an indoor pool, so it's really a benefit to our kids, but there are several deficiencies with the facility. Preventive maintenance has been hard to fund, and it hasn't been adequate, so that's why we had some of the structural problems that we had. There's a lot of use in this pool. Judson, Steele, Clemens high schools all share it. There's only, like I said, there's only 5 lanes and they're 25 yards. There's no warm-up, cool-down, anything like that in this pool, so it's not good for competition. But when it comes to practice, with so many kids using it, we're talking about 30-some kids from each high school using this pool. Not all of them can fit in there at the same time. So they have to spread the practice times over the periods when they're not in school. So we've got kids that are starting 4:30 in the morning going out there to practice to be competitive. In addition to the high schools that use it, it's also host to the Judson MetroCom Area Aquatics Club. There's 3 training groups that have to fit in their practice. Most of those are in the evenings or late afternoon. The pool is maxed out at about 140 swimmers. You get that many in there, any more than 140, and it's like you're driving down I-35 and you hit that hill to 1604. You're only going to go as fast as the slowest person ahead of you. So if you get that many swimmers in there, you're just not going to get a good workout. Why is that important? Why is the fact that the Area Aquatics Club is using that to the Judson Independent School District? The fact is that the Alamo Swim Club is the feeder program for the schools. The high schools, they don't practice year-round. They practice only during the swim season in the fall, going through January, February. But if you're going to be competitive in a swim program, you're swimming year-round. So if you want to be competitive in high school, you're going to be a member of the Alamo Area Aquatics Club. In addition to those organizations, there have been times when the Northeast Lakeview Aquatics has used the pool for credit hours for college students. They're not really doing that much now, but it has been done. This is a picture of the current existing pool, if you haven't been down there to see it. This is one group of kids. This is the juniors practicing out there in the evening. You can tell that all the lanes are pretty well saturated with kids. There's really no facilities for them to store their bags. In the very far side of that picture, there are some benches up there. That's where the kids have to stack their swim bags with all their gear in it. You can see some of their gear here in the foreground they have to carry around with them. So just not an adequate facility for them. To give you an idea, this chart here shows you the capacity of the existing pool and the kind of natatorium that we're talking about that we need. As I said, we've got 3 school teams practicing in our pool, club swimmers about 140, and that's maxed out the Judson pool. In addition, the Alamo Area Community College District aquatics classes, they've had 2 in there in the past. The hours of use for our pool is about 5 to 10 hours a day. Again, that's pretty much limited to the morning hours and evening hours. The reason that it's limited to 5 to 10 hours is it's not a staffed pool. The coaches, it's only open when the coaches are there, and they just can't afford to run a staff there all the time. In addition to those uses, other classes that are offered, they do teach lifeguard training, usually for some of the swimmers that are in the clubs if they want to learn. Very limited for swim lessons. It usually happens during club swim in one of the lanes if they have to give a younger child some instruction. Total swim meets annually in that pool is 0. That pool is not adequate to support any kind of competitive swimming at all. It doesn't have the bleacher facilities, doesn't have the locker room facilities, doesn't have enough lanes or long enough lanes to support that. And total swimmers at any one time is about 45 to 50 in the Judson pool, so very limited practice needs. What we're talking about for an natatorium and what some of them in the area have, 7+ school teams could be supported with that size of a facility. I think we all know we're going to be building new high schools here, so we've got 4 right now. One of them doesn't have a swim program, so we're maxed out at 3. We add another couple of high schools. They're either not going to have a swim program or we're going to have to find some other kind of workaround to support them. In addition to the high school swim teams, a natatorium can support approximately 500 club swimmers, which is well above what we can support right now. As far as the Alamo Area Community College program, it allows program growth for them. Right now, they don't have a requirement there to have these kind of programs, but right now they're limited. If they wanted to grow those programs over there, they could with a natatorium. Hours of use, typical natatoriums about 14 to 16 hours a day, but those are staffed facilities, so they can offer programs throughout the day for not just kids, but adults as well. Other classes can be offered in there. That's going to be as determined from the aquatics director. We anticipate that you would have an aquatics director running this facility. Swim lessons, full service, from little kids up to adults, whatever they wanted to learn. Total meets annually, we see about 11 to 15 a year. That's going to become important later on. Total swimmers at one time, about 160 to 200 swimmers. That would really alleviate the practice problems that our existing swimmers have right now, and they wouldn't have to be out there at 4 o'clock in the morning swimming. When we started looking at the use of existing facilities, we took a look at all the natatoriums in the San Antonio area to say, okay, before we talk about building something new, is there something that exists that our folks could use that might be adequate? There are 6 natatoriums in the San Antonio area that would even be remotely feasible. Number 1 and 2 belong to the Northside Independent School District, one over at 1604 in Bandera, the other one is Block. And those support 11 high schools right now, and the distance is too great to really be viable for our kids to practice. There's no way they could get over there in time and get back in time for classes. So those are pretty much out. Number 3, Blossom, down there on Starcrest, is the Northeast Independent School District. 2 pools down there. One of them is a 50-meter pool. One's a 25-meter pool with a diving well. They support not only 7 high schools, but they have about 500 kids that swimming club down there. They are at max capacity themselves and can't support us down there as well. And the distance is pretty good. Number 4, Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word supports, of course, college swimming down there. They also support the Incarnate Word high school folks, and they've taken steps to really limit the amount of access from outside into that pool, and the distance is not viable for our folks. So that pool's pretty much out. Number 5, San Antonio Independent School District. They support 8 high schools down there. And it's also a joint use facility with the city as well, so they have open swim. So there's really not enough time for our kids to use that facility. So that one's out. The last one in the area is Palo Alto. Of course, that supports the swim programs there at Palo Alto. And also the East Central Independent School District has access to that pool. And that's where a lot of the swim meets are held down at Palo Alto as well. We spent a great deal of time down there. They have a good facility. But again, the distance and the amount of capacity that they have is not adequate to support us. So we pretty much eliminated all of those in the San Antonio area. So the only other option is really for us to have our own. Here's what the real need is that we see here in this area. Build a world-class natatorium, 10 lanes, 80 meters, depth of 3.5 to 9.5 feet. Swimmer and spectator seating for about 2,000 folks. These meets get really crowded. People come from all over. You can really draw them in from out of the city areas. State-of-the-art equipment for them, the touchpad timers, those kinds of things. Facilities, locker rooms, warm-up, cool-down areas, ventilation system, you got to have that. That prevents a lot of the problems that we've seen in the existing pool. Get that chlorine, that caustic atmosphere out of there. Location is critical. The siting of this is really critical. You want to be able to draw the swimmers in. You want to be able to draw spectators in. You want to bring business into the area as well. Convenient access is critical. And the natatorium footprint we're talking about is about 1.2 acres. This is the Palo Alto Natatorium that we all get to spend a great deal of time in, which is about the right size. This is a 80-meter pool. And now the bleachers here is a different setup than what we would recommend. But this is about the kind of facility that we're talking about that we could use here. This is the footprint where you see that red line drawn. To the right of that red line is where the gymnasium is. So from that line to the left, that's the actual natatorium facility itself. From the check-in areas, the locker rooms, and then the pool itself in the long area. We did some research on estimated costs for this kind of a facility. Design and construction, these are put together from our little committee, so we haven't had access to a lot of really in-depth information here, but design and construction runs about $13 million. Operations and maintenance is about $800,000 a year. Sounds like a lot, but when you start bringing in swim meets, folks from out of town, and start sponsoring these things, we got this data from the Northside Independent School District. They're getting revenue of a gross of about $1.2 million a year. So they're netting about $400,000 a year, paying for other school programs, with their natatorium. Personnel, we'd have staffing includes 6 full-time positions, 30 part-time, to run an aquatics director, lifeguards, that kind of thing. Insurance is actually covered under the school district's overall insurance policy. And utilities, they manage to reduce their utility costs by partnering with the local utility companies. Benefits to the MetroCom, it addresses the current crowded conditions we have in our existing pool right now. Postures us for projected growth. We know we're going to be adding school facilities here. We know that this is a really fast-growing area. Kids are going to be coming in, not just high school swimmers, but club swimmers as well, which again are the feeder program. Allows for expanded Northeast Lakeview College programs if they so choose. And it completes the athletic facilities. We got lots of football stadiums around. We got lots of basketball. We got stadiums to do everything, except we don't have adequate swim facilities. Supports year-round swimming. Again, really important if you want to have kids to be competitive swimmers. We have had kids go on to be very competitive in college sports. And it provides a revenue stream for the school district as well. Again, the North Independent School District is actually in the black with their aquatics facility. And it serves as an economic boost. When you bring in the swim meets, it helps the businesses in that area. People have got to stay in places. These are usually 2-3 day meets. People have got to eat around that area, so it really helps the businesses around the area. So our recommendation is that we should build a MetroCom natatorium here. We need to develop partnerships and consensus. That's what our committee is all about. We are here, we're organized. Hasn't been a lot of organization from the swim community in this regard, but that's what we're here for. Establish a timeline to meet the partnership needs of everybody that's involved, and engage this steering committee that we have wherever is necessary for us to go out, beat the bushes, talk to businesses, talk to the public, whatever it is we need to do. Next step, we've been talking to the Northeast Lakeview College. They've offered a site on their campus for this natatorium, pending a business plan. They want to see what the business plan is going to be, what's this going to do for everybody. And we request Judson Independent School District commission and develop the business plan for presentation to the Alamo Community College District. This is the master plan that Northeast Lakeview College did for their campus. If you look at the circled area down there, that P that's highlighted, that is the natatorium. They've been planning for a natatorium there for a long time, but they just didn't have the funding to do it at the time. And now, since their programs have kind of tapered off, they're a little hesitant to step forward on their own to build a facility like this, but it's all ready for it. This is a picture of that area where you see that red rectangle. That's where their natatorium was proposed to go. They've already got the infrastructure that's in place. They've got parking that's there, roads are there. All that needs to be done is that natatorium needs to be put in place. All the prep work has been done for that. So that concludes our presentation. We urge the committee to take a look at this and move forward on a natatorium for this area, and we are here to help. We would like to suggest that we get a business plan going, and you can use us for whatever is necessary to get this on the road. Sir.
Thank you. As some of you know, I've been sort of working on this for a couple of years behind the scene, and And the problem we have is funding on our side. As some of the board members know, I've dragged them to one of our local cities to try to put this together. $13 million is a lot of money. Now, with that said, Northeast, they partnered with Bear County. Bear County gave them $7 million. They gave $7 million. And why did Bear County do that? With the 17, 18 meets they're going to have a year, they're going to gross about $60 million in property tax, in tax, sales tax, just for Bear County. It's kind of like the AT&T Center and the Spurs plan, liquor sales, okay? The problem is our voters have said no 3 times to this. Some people blame the failure of the 2010 bonds on the pool. I don't believe that. I think it was just people were in a mood not to approve anything. The problem is funding, and I'm a believer in partnerships. Look at JECA, what JECA did. You know, we built a high school for $8 million in part of Northeast Lakeview. $12 million. We have a different kind of voter in this district. You look at our just past election. We have 22,000 students, there's 44,000 parents. How many folks voted in the last bond election? Right at 2,000. And we spent money to motivate people to vote for our $85 million bond. I've talked to Dr. Reno about this, and Dr. Mackey has too, and they don't have the money. We don't have the money. We've actually looked at how to do some funding, some bonding to pay for this. My disappointment is this is a cash cow and no one's recognizing it. I can tell you, I've talked to the folks at Blossom, and they put 200 to 300 elderly people for swimming aerobics a day in there at $3 a piece. So you have a $250,000 revenue stream just on water aerobics a year at the Blossom for elderly folks doing aerobics. So there's for lack of a better term, we need to get the district and the voters out of the dark ages of what we can do. And from where we sit right now to the Northeast Lake, to the north side, is about 5 miles as the crow flies. So 5 miles away, they have a tax revenue of $60 million for this county. And we're 5 miles from there, and we can't get it done. And how many times have it been on, June? 3, 4 times? The bond? 4 total? The pool 4 times? So this is an education process that our next bond to do this. Unfortunately, there's an anti-pool sentiment in this district.
Well, I think that's where we might be able to help. Because we have not been, the parents and the citizens of that community have not really been that engaged in the past. And I think that we take that as our charter, is to try to get that message out, to get that education out, to say this isn't just for a select group of people. This benefits the entire community.
Right.
It benefits the entire school district and all the school programs. So I think that is something that we can do to help in that regard.
That's the key there. Is not only partnering with people to do it, but get this community involved to want it. For example, you know, we just put a whole bunch of money in a new track because we needed it. The new football stadium, it was that, you know, $10 million, and it wasn't overruns, you know, but the people voted for that. There's not the feeling for swimming in this community as there are other sports. And that's an education process that I think your committee's really got to get a hold of here for this to work. I don't think you have a problem for me, or I can't speak very well as a board for it, because as the gentleman knows here, I've been talking about this for 2 years, and I've dragged a lot of the board members here to the city to try to make this work, because they want to build a natatorium pool too. Mm-hmm. You got my support. It's just that you're going to have an uphill battle, $13 million. To build something with the sentiment of this community towards swimming. And we hit a lot of walls in this school district because of folks. The people that are engaged, unfortunately, in this community don't vote. Look at the numbers. They just don't vote. And if they do vote, they vote against it. Things. unless they're motivated for some reason to go do it. And the motivation this time was, well, we're not going to raise taxes. Why the bond passed? We didn't raise taxes. Oh, okay, not going to cost me anything. I'll go vote, and my kids need it. So I'll be quiet now, but I'm for you. But a little advice to your committee, it's an education process for this community. That's what you're up against. It's not, oh, I don't want to poll. It's those who go to the polls that vote.
We recognize that.
Okay.
We
Thank
see
you.
that, and that's why we've organized ourselves, because we haven't had that in the past. So we see ourselves, engaged in the community like that, getting that education, starting that process, get everybody, understanding what it is we're trying to do for the community. But what we'd like to do in parallel is work the plan, work the business plan. While we're out there engaging and educating the community, we would like the board to be working the business plan to get the, what's our vector? How are we going to, if we do this, how are we going to do this? And we see that proposal for the Northeast Lakeview area, that's a no-brainer to us, and it makes the most sense. But if we get the business plan, get engaged with the Alamo Community College folks, we'll work the community piece, and hopefully those two will come together.
Thank you very much for your diligence and the efforts on the part of your committee. That is the most factual, well-organized presentation on the natatorium that I've seen since way back when they tried to pass a sports complex that included a natatorium. And so we haven't really had all of the facts lined up very clear and succinctly, and that was great. I know that, took some time and energies and research efforts, and so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
I support a Metrocom natatorium. I went with Mr. Salyer when we went and tried to get some support from the city. But I would ask, if possible, well, I don't know, are you addressing the same presentation to our neighbor at the Schertz-Cibolo School Board?
We have engaged Schertz-Cibolo School Board folks. I think, and we had it in this presentation talking about the Schertz piece, but from today, it looks like that the Schertz-Cibolo Universal City School Board is going to tag on to the Schertz pool and use and perhaps contribute some to alleviate some of the congestion at Judson. We've tried to convince the board there that is really not the right way to do this. It's not going to alleviate the crowding conditions anywhere. And the problem with the relying on the Schertz pool is, again, we got a whole slide on this if you want to see it. But the Schertz pool, they're going to hand that off to the YMCA to manage.
Right.
And that will conflict with the kinds of programs that the schools need and the club swimmers need. Because the temperature of the water is going to be different. The focus is going to be different from the management of the pool. It's not going to be focused on the kids swimming programs. So we think that's not really the right way to go. But I think they see that as a stopgap. I think they see that as a short-term stopgap measure until we can build organization and get this thing moving for Metrocom Natatorium. I think they would jump on that if it starts moving down that path. So I think that if Judson takes the lead on that, on building that plan, and while we are trying to organize the communities, not just in the Judson School District, but also the other school districts, that this is really the right way to go, I think they will jump on that. So we are engaged with them.
So, Dr. Mackey, where and how would Judson be able to support in any of the requests that this committee has presented?
I don't know, listening like you, I don't know.
So can you get back with the board and, at a future meeting, let us know if there's something that we can do to help go forward? And we know we don't have, we're not pretending we have the money. We all know we don't have the money. I have no idea what the next step is, except we need partnerships. I don't know what Church Cibolo's bond that they passed was for, but, you know, if everybody gave some money, because we talked to Dr. Reno, and they said they have no money, and everybody says no money, but, you know, no money from nobody gets nothing. And I know that's bad English, all you educators over there.
I think the next step that is beyond our committee of citizens is the business plan. What is the plan? To commission a business plan on how this natatorium can serve the community, and what's the right answer for where it should go, how it should be staffed, those kinds of things. That's a little bit beyond us. We did some preliminary research, but the next step, I think, is to get the business plan going. You know, we can work the community if the board could take that piece on.
Who does that support?
What?
The business plan.
Well, it's a matter of my question really is have we engaged the county at all? Now, like they went to bat for Northside. Is there anything that we can do for this side of the district? Talk to Tommy or, you know, whoever to get something going this way.
Yeah,
to get some TIF money or something.
Yeah, I don't believe we've.
Good evening. Certainly, but like Dr. Reno said, we're in a chicken-egg situation.
Right.
We need the business plan. If you can help us with the business plan development, we'll provide support in our whatever our technical capacity is, but in your professional capacity from the staff level, or commission it, a business plan. Once that document is produced, first we need the land. We're going to go to Alamo Community College District and talk to their presidential commission with Dr. Reno. Once we have the land dedicated to be a host site for a natatorium based on the business plan being approved, then we're going to go approach all the entities. We have land, we have a business plan, and we're going to start going after the dollars from the county and all the cities and informing them of this project and say, we have a unique opportunity before us right now. We have this site that's already got utilities, parking, lighting, underground water and sewer in place. The footprint's there. That's $2 million of improvements right there alone.
The problem is a business plan of this magnitude will cost several $100,000 to put together. I know because I've talked to the city. The question is, sitting here on the board, how can I spend several $100,000 on a business plan that something hasn't been funded? That's my problem. You know, I'm for this. I'm 100% for this. But a business plan of this magnitude to, you know, preliminary architecture and all this and exactly what you're saying, the site is there, is going to cost several $100,000, I know. And I went to Universal City and dragged some folks with it. And their plan was almost $300,000. Don't quote me on that, but just the basic business plan of how to build it right across the street here on 1604, where they want to build a huge complex. I cannot commit a business plan of $200,000 or $300,000 for something we have no funding for. That's my quagmire here. You're right. It's the carrot. It's the chicken or the egg.
Well, I just want to say to that, I think if Judson ever desires to get an natatorium, a state-of-the-art natatorium in this district to support its high school athletics programs, I think you have a unique opportunity, I want to say to the board right now. You have a supportive community. We supported the bond. We went out there. We encouraged voters. And we will back this with our presence and our network of community leaders. We ask the board to support and commission a business plan either with staff support or commission it privately and fund it so that we can move forward and proceed. I think once we have the business plan, we can pursue the entities and the funding. And then what will be left on the table will be gap financing for Judson to come in. And it may be $1 million, $2 million, and you get a $13 million facility.
Dr. Mackey, can you find out give us an estimate of a business plan, just the basic natatorium that they described, and just give the board some figures on what it is, because we're trying to talk inside something without any idea. I know the business plan we looked at, was much more extensive, Mr. Dyer. They had all kind of other stuff going on there. Maybe a business plan for just an auditorium is less, but I have no idea. Certainly we can't commit to anything without dollar figures, but maybe the superintendent can give us some idea of what we're looking at and bring it back to us for the future meeting.
Maybe you can talk to the north side, because this isn't that old, to see what they do. And I know they got county money, but just the plan to see, talk to your buddy over there, superintendent, and see what they see. I can't remember how they get called. Just as a jumping off point to see where we're going, but we know that it's something to start.
I think we may have some information on that. Just a moment, please.
Women, halftime, 44, 46.
I can understand all your concerns. I know this is a lot of money in a time when people don't have money. I'm sorry, I'm Catherine Hubbard. I think a real question you need to ask yourself is, though, how much money are you going to put into a facility, Band-Aids over the next 3 years, when you can put that money toward a business plan that's going to create revenue for you? Because I'm telling you what, that pool is not going to last more than 3 to 5 years. And then how much money are you going to use to try to build another facility? So you have to think strategically. Let's think 5 to 10 years down the line. You can keep the pool you got, spend a lot of money, and get no profit. Or you can build this, do your business plan, and have a profitable plan that goes back to your school district.
And you still have to put that money into that pool.
You have to fund it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That is successful requires seed money.
So how do we fund this? That's the question. We have to fund it by a bond. And it's been voted down the last 4 years on a bond. And that was what I said before is you got to get these people motivated. Now, the way this works here is we pass the bond, then we do all this, just like the high school, the new elementary school and high school. We're doing a little different now simply because we're taking Rolling Meadows and building it over here, exact same school, but we still have to do all the stuff to build the new high school, but we don't have the funding. We didn't have the funding to do that until we passed the bond. You understand? I have worked this everywhere I can. Believe me, trust me. And this is why I'm not being a naysayer. It's just for the past 2 years, I have worked it with UC and people and Dr. Reno and stuff. The problem is, I'm going to be very honest with you and blunt with you. You have to pass a bond to get the money to do this.
Right.
I mean, and I've looked at other ways, Jose and Dr. Mackey and I, how do we fund this? $6 million, 1-2%, money's cheap right now. How do we do this? Okay. The problem is the feasibility of $13 million. You just can't borrow $13 million against our fund balance. We can do that. We have a fund balance, but you can't borrow. It was like $6 million. I said, I wanted to borrow $6 million at 2%, create a revenue stream and build this thing 2 years ago. The problem is right now, $13 million is a lot of money, and we only have $30 million in our fund balance. We can't borrow $13 million against our fund balance, even at 2%, okay, because we still have to pay that debt. We have to be good stewards of the money. We're trustees. We have to make sure that it's like borrowing, against your house on a second mortgage. You still have to pay it no matter what. You have to create that, and you have to make sure there's a revenue stream there. I'm convinced there's a revenue stream. It's already been proven. Look what Northeast and the county did. But we are guided by different physical law and rules as a school district than private businesses. We're trustees. We have to do that. I'm for you, but the work here is get another bond passed.
Yeah. I think the opportunity before you now is that authorize the superintendent to find out the cost to put a business plan together for an auditorium located on Alamo Northeast Lakeview campus site. I don't think it's going to cost $300,000. We're not looking at a water park situation.
I hope you're right.
I think
I'm
what you're
for it.
talking about is more of a concept design or a concept master plan or something. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about just a basic, let's take a vector here and what makes the most sense to us.
See, that's not how I do business. I need to know what I'm going to spend money on. And I knew if you say I want to spend money on something, I want to know what we're spending money on and why. I'm a trustee.
Right.
I have to look at it at this side.
Well, we laid out what the pool needs were. It was an 80-meter size pool.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it would look like almost, what's that, Palo Alto Auditorium.
Now, what we can do very simply, Dr. Mackey, is call our architects because they can tell you what every pool in this state costs, right, Dr. Mackey? We kind of went through this. We went through this before. We've been through this before, behind doors. But we can build something pretty decent for $6 million at one time.
Oh yeah, actually, you got a good bid. You see it north side down there. They built that outdoor auditorium. North side was $7 million from the county. That $7 million was for the stands, the concrete stands.
Yeah.
The other $7 million was for the outdoor pool.
Correct. So we'll work with you. We need to do some
So
research
we're in the
here.
ballpark.
Yeah,
We're
a
in the
pool.
ballpark.
We can build a good pool for $6 million.
So too.
When you start see his problem is when you start throwing $13 million at me and trustees, that's what you're asking for it. We start small, go bigger. But I could support $6 million, and maybe we could borrow it. I'm looking at Jose, and he's telling me not to ask him the question, which I won't.
This is
But
what the business plan will try. It'll help us with that. 'Cause in this model of this pool, you're not going to need a diving well or diving boards like they have at Palo Alto.
I think, Dr. Mackey, if we can, the board will allow me here, tell Dr. Mackey what your vision is. I want to get with our coaches, Dr. Mackey, and see what their vision is, what they need, and then let's sort of see what our architects and people say and see if we can do this on a cheap.
Actually, I've discussed this with both athletic directors. They fully support our concept of an auditorium.
If they're athletic directors, they want bigger is better. I want to know what the coach says and people say,
Oh, and the coach is fully in support.
Yeah, but you understand, we got to figure out how to get this money. That's the problem, the money.
We have been talking to them in realistic terms about what is the right facility, because we began with looking at, okay, what's it going to take for us to put a diving well in, and we backed that off. We said, okay, we don't need a diving well. There's not that many that support that end of the sport, so let's cut that out. So we have been in negotiations with the athletic directors on that.
And you understand when you kind of said, have our staff do it, or our staff is getting ready to build a new high school and a new elementary school, and my staff and Dr. Mackey, time is money. So I can't burn our people out doing this, but I'm sure Dr. Mackey will look into it and see what we can come with. I support it. I don't want to be a naysayer, but I've been cranking, as you know, and some of the board members know, for 2 years trying to figure this out. And it's going to take a bond. We're borrowing money.
Because even if you're spending $100,000 on a business plan, you've got people in this community that are going to be there saying, hey, what are you doing this for? You don't even have the, you can't even get a bond pass, to get it. So you're in zero.
Mr. Flores, I perfectly agree with you, because I had to deal with those same citizens with this last bond. I had to talk to those citizens and convince them that we have a new board, we have new administration, we have confidence in this administration and how they're going to handle this new bond money and build us a good elementary school and a good high school, and we're going to be accountable for that. That was our message to the community, and we went out there and we sent that message, and we talked to the community. So I think as y'all continue to be good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, the community is going to be looking at that. We all know that. I know that because they told me that till my ears read. And and I appreciate those comments. I really do. And I know the reality. I just want to let you know that there's an opportunity in front of you. And if we can, I think maybe this business plan is not going to cost $300,000 or $100,000. But I think we need to ask the superintendent to look at the cost of that, query people who do that, and it may come in at $12,500 or $25,000 or less.
On a smaller scale of this, at the stadium, we held a AAU competition a year ago, like Dr. Matthews, and the money that was generated just is in Congress,
Yeah.
tax money that they got. We didn't understand that. I don't know how. And I can see where this can really lead to that, and it is proactive.
Actually, there's a meet going on. It started tonight. People in San Antonio are traveling to a meet in Brownsville for a 4-day meet, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a slower than A meet and A-champs. So 600, 700 kids there, families. There's economic impact to it. Exactly. And we're more than happy as a committee to support and be there, technical aspects. Dr. Mackey can help, can rely on us to be there as a resource. Just let us know.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Dr. Mackey, I guess you'll be getting back with us later on some figures or whatever, okay? Thank you for your support on that, okay, sir? Thank you. Okay, the next item was pulled. Item D was pulled. Item E, update to policy BDB, local board, internal organization, internal committees. First reading, and I believe if you look on page 223, that's what the new policy will read. Okay? Any questions on that? This is just the first reading. Go ahead.
Mr. Salinas?
Yes.
I took the colored copy, and thank you very much, Ms. Jackie. That makes it very easy. And the first thing, at the bottom, it has date issued 2/25/2013, that it was adopted. And I went back and I looked at the minutes and the agenda for January and February, and this policy was not in there. If you recall, we had a work session with the policy. Go ahead, let her tell me. She wanted to say something. Do you know what date the board approved this change?
We never did, ma'am.
I agree. And when we had the discussion, which is what I was going to say, we had the discussion at the work session, we did not agree to limit the committees to 4 times a year, because if we had, then the committees have been in violation all year long. This was not the policy. The policy read that the committee should meet at least, but there was no more than in the policy. So if we can go back and, if necessary, I can talk to the policy guy, but somewhere along the line, we made some changes that wasn't approved by the board. And then I understand, and once again, Mr. Salinas, I have to disagree with you on number 3, where you're requesting to combine finance, building, and construction all into one committee, especially with the bond currently in action and the transparency that we said we would be having. It's, we want to have our meetings and to combine. Ms. LaFoyle usually reads all the construction stuff, and I read the finance stuff, but I don't know who did the building stuff. I think you did. But at any rate, I know this is first reading, and I'm still opposed to combining these committees into only 3 committees. I think the board policy as stands is still the most transparent to the community. If they desire to come and meet, then that's available. But once you change the policy, that option is not available to the committee, to the community, if we're going to abide by our policy.
What do you mean it's not available to the community?
If you merge them all, number 1 reads bond committee if necessary. And I assume this first reading, Dr. Mackey, you're going to post it on the web like we always do, right? Okay. So bond committee, we're adding the words if necessary. We added...
Well, because there might be some years that we don't have any bond, but now this year we do have a bond. So there will be a bond committee, right?
Right, but we always have bond money. We've never had a year that we didn't have bond money. So, we haven't ever had committees working that didn't need to work. In other words, just because the policy gave you a bond committee, you didn't have one working. The second one is eliminating the finance committee as a separate committee, eliminating building and construction committee as a separate committee, combining the curriculum committee with the long range, and combining finance and building and construction together. And then the language that wasn't in there anyway, the not more than. And then you see where you added this paragraph, each committee shall work directly with the Board of Trustees Secretary, meeting preparations. Right. That was confusing to me when you went up to the other paragraph. And so I guess what you're saying is the board president's going to appoint a board member and an alternate board member to the committee, and then you're going to have a chairperson. Well, anyway, explain to me what you were saying instead of me trying to figure out.
Board members are not supposed to be chairpersons, ma'am, you know that.
So there's some missing language in here. Are you saying that you want the committee chairperson to talk directly to Jackie? Jackie, what's your last name? To Ms. Perez?
That is correct. When they're going to meet, if they are the chairperson of the committee, then they tell Jackie, this is the agenda. But the board president, since he's in charge of all the committees, then reviews that agenda before it's confirmed.
Okay.
That, yes, this is the.
What is the
reason-
purpose of the board member that you're appointing? What's their job?
It's not a chairperson, the liaison.
So we need to add that word.
And we said an alternate liaison, so that way those two board members can decide, you know what?
Actually, the liaison should be the one communicating with Jack.
That's my opinion.
The liaison, along with the chairman of the committee, get together and say, hey, when you have a meeting and stuff, and then the liaison, as a board representative, talk to the board secretary. I think. Oh, yeah, that's no problem. That's why we have a first meeting. Yeah, because otherwise, I don't want to have, citizens just calling Jack up on that, and then he just, it has to be us.
That's fine. That's fine. And again, she said, one board member and liaison and an alternate. And the reason being is those two board members wish to alternate meetings where they don't have to attend every month or whenever it's held. That's fine. Yes. That was the only reason that I mean, but this is first reading. It can always be corrected. That's why we have discussion. And thank you, Mr. Flores. And thank you, Ms. Adair. That's good. That's what we want to know. We'll tell Jackie and she'll correct it. Okay? Any other thing? Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I thought I'd also take an opportunity to, get board suggestion on creating ad hoc board committees so that we could also include this in the reading. The idea would be to have an opportunity for no more than 3 board members to convene on a topic like curriculum, for example, and talk about with our administration what we're doing. It would help, I think, in terms of when we have board meetings, if we have an issue on curriculum, that we have people on this board that have had more extended conversation. Sometimes it's difficult to be an expert in a certain area without more information. So they would be ad hoc committees, which the board would have a consensus on, and then we would select 3 members, and we would all convene. So I'd like to look at probably putting some of that language there, but wanted to kind of get some guidance from my colleagues on the board. You have any thoughts?
Well, looking at that, I understand that all committees, as special meetings, that they're going to get together and talk about this. And, but I don't see, an ad hoc committee to me would be, okay, we passed the bond, now we got to start working on the next one. Whereas we have a curriculum.
Well,
And things come up. I mean, that's just my.
no, and the thing is just to clarify. I want that. I mean, I think we can do it, but it's nice to have some sort of guidance.
Yeah, like a one-sentence kind of thing.
Well, and I'll tell you, one of the other things, too, would be like the compensation plan. I mean, to have more discussion, we, as a board, we get that plan, and all of a sudden, we have to make some decisions on it. But if we had an ad hoc committee look at that, we could probably raise some questions and then, of course, share that content at a board meeting. It would alleviate some time, but give the board an opportunity to look more aggressively at the material. So I just see that benefit.
Tag along with Mr. Flores and see, that's the reason I have a problem with combining this. These are the ad hoc committees.
Well,
we don't have ad hoc in here.
The ad hoc committee would only be board members. It wouldn't be a citizen committee.
You would eliminate board members.
It would
you would
just
eliminate
be
citizens
from the ad hoc board committee. It would. I mean, we still would have citizens committees. I by no means want to eliminate that.
You got to be real careful, though. I know it says you can't have a forum, but you can have 2 people talking about this and this like that. That can be considered a violation.
I thought it was four people. And if we want to limit the ad hoc.
We're not making decisions on.
We're not.
All we're doing is
we're just talking.
Getting information. And absolutely. And I think if it's 2 or 3, I mean, whatever's a more, obviously cannot be. But no, I think that would be helpful. And one of the other things too, when we look at like the HR audit from TASB, there's more questions. We received a 15-minute summary on it, but there was a lot of data there that perhaps an ad hoc committee could have dived a little bit further.
An ad hoc committee would be good working with
If well, I just want to propose some language, and I don't know if.
Let's write this up. This is the first reading. Let's write up our suggestions and give it to Mr. Jackie or to Harlan.
Let's see.
And,
All
and
right.
I think all ad hocs, if whatever you put, they need to have either Dr. Mackey or their representative, because they have board members having a conversation about an auditorium or curriculum or anything. So Dr. Mackey or one of his staff can be Well, that's what I said, him or some of his administration, so you can get the information.
And let me just say, too, to be intelligent about it, we have a very diverse board, so we want to diversify the ad hoc committee to have different points of view look at something. So, I mean, as long as that takes place and we're smart and intelligent about that, I think we can get it done.
No problem. Okay, did you get that, Jackie, all that? Okay. F, update on board, at board advisory committees, and I believe there was one, did you meet me, say there, or somebody, curriculum? Ms. Williams said, sir, you were there or something. Can you bring us up to date on something? Thank you, sir. Mr. Merrill. Yeah. Sonny.
Yes, the curriculum committee did meet in June. And we meet the first Thursday in June, and basically we talked about the changes that the state made for C-Scope. And we talked about a presentation that Ms. Robinson had gave about the program that she wanted with the SAT packet. And we talked about that the month before we went out and done research to find out what was all included and would the students really benefit from all the tutoring and all the extra stuff that we got in the packet, since they lowered the price and every student would benefit and the students would be allowed to take it on campus without coming on a Saturday and like that. And we thought it was very beneficial for the students if the district went in and purchased this packet. And that was the last meeting that we had for the summer. We're going to start back in September. Then we'll have all the data of all the testing and all of that and the curriculum stuff. Then we can actually look at where we're weak at and all of this and how we measure up to the state and in Region 20.
Well, thank you, sir, very much. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Merrill. Item G, update on board. G, update on board training, conference, and events. Consider future agenda items requested by board members. Training. We'll start with you, Mr. LaFleur. Yes, you will. Anyway. Ms. Edgar.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. I'd just like to say to Dr. Mackey and his staff that I thought all of the graduations that I attended, this is conferences, events, and future agenda. This is an event. Well, see, that's because you didn't pick up and read your agenda. You should have read it. You could have talked about conference. Me and Richard down here having a little argument. Okay, so I wanted to thank you all and tell your principals. We had great graduations. We got great reviews from parents, and we really appreciated all of the extra effort. We know the graduations take extra time and energy. And, of course, I was ecstatic at the Judson graduation because the last of my children have graduated. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. So,
amen.
Thank you very much. I attended TASB SLI in Fort Worth with Ms. Williams. I brought back some material that Jackie will be giving you in your packets, but the main part was the legislative update and the changes they talked about, House Bill 5. So I think that was a worthwhile trip. And just encourage the board to watch your calendar and see if periodically some of you can make it to the SHAC meeting. It's on here, and the SHAC is a board committee by law. And so I'd like somebody else to go besides me. So what's the last thing on here, Richard? You gonna do yours? Okay. Ms. Perez, if you'll make sure, though, that the curriculum and whatever the committee meeting, it wasn't on here, whenever they met. Okay. So if you'll stick those on there, and the things that Mr. LaFoyle is going to talk about. Okay. I think we have a strategic plan or something coming up, but Mr. LaFoyle.
I'm going to talk about football camp, which was a huge success, made money for the Judson Education Foundation. We had over 200 kids. And Dr. Mackey, refresh me, how many pros did we have? 4? I thought it was 5. 5. Had 5 pros out there, and the kids really enjoyed themselves. Next year we're going to make more kids out there. What we're going to do is we're going to up from 200 to 250. Then Monday, that was Saturday and Sunday, Monday was the golf tournament. I took my usual par 3 on the 10th hole and really enjoyed myself. We made a lot of money at that too. And we can all thank Pat Mahanahan for all the money that the Judson Education Foundation makes, because he spearheads most of it, him and Dr. Mackey. Dr. Mackey goes out and beats the bushes and gets money for our kids that can't afford it to go. So I'll tell you, she always sells them. I want to thank Yvette Reyna also for all the stuff, and everybody on the Judson board worked hard this year. So that's about all I got.
The Education Foundation, I guess, will bring us a report sometime in September, or I don't know when it's due. Okay, Mr. Macias.
I had the opportunity to attend a TASB here locally in San Antonio, and it's always a privilege when you see one of your colleagues actually be a part of a presentation. We go to so many of them, so Mr. Flores actually was part of a team, TASB leadership team that presented about teamwork and cohesiveness. Is that correct? Yeah, I was paying attention. So stepping it up, and that was a really good session. Also, like Ms. Adair, my daughter graduated, so that's kind of a nice feeling to see her go through all the schools, Eloff, Metzger, Judson. In addition, I did also verify that Mr. LaFoyle was nicely busy at the Foundation Golf Tournament. Yes, his par 3 hole. I will say he omitted that they left him out there. He had to walk back, but it's good. Get some good exercise. So the foundation event on the camp was actually very good. So I just want to echo that it was a good job, Dr. Mackey and Foundation. That's all I have.
I also attended the SLI here in San Antonio for 3 days. A lot of meetings. It went real good. And hopefully from here we'll move on to the state convention in the end of September, I believe. That'll be in Dallas, yes. Okay, Mr. Sally.
Yes. I think we've had a pretty significant event. And I want to thank Dr. Mackey and the cabinet and the whole cabinet. We haven't had a one level 3 grievance this year come to the board.
I wish you hadn't said that.
We're done. But I'm serious. Saves a lot of money. I mean, that's a significant event. That means that we're doing things right. That really means we're doing things right.
Fiscal year doesn't end until June 30th.
We're not going to hear it in June. We'll hear it in July.
Oh, okay.
But
no, we got one on the 26th.
We better not.
I'll go on the calendar.
You better change that. I just made a statement, but
okay.
even if we have one, that's a significant event. And that shows that people, administration, and everyone's really stepping up and doing the right thing, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Flores.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose, about SLI. It was really a nice presentation. 6 other leadership graduates had presented. Well, they got us all together, and Dr. Bill Rutherford, Dr. Rutherford was there, and he heads up Leadership TASB. and it was a great event. I also went 3 days. Man, I got more hours this time than I usually do, just simply because I took 2 days vacation to go, and I was able to be there. And well, I usually don't go on Thursday, so this time I did. And another thing is what we need to do, Arnold, is we need to look at the legislative update, because a lot of us are going to need it this, once the special session is done. And what I'd like to do is, if we can set up with Region 20 and then some of the other districts to help alleviate the cost, like have it here after the special session, I think that would be a good thing. We've done that before.
They are going to present it in the state convention. I looked into it.
Okay, all right.
I inquired during TASB,
Mhm.
and they said they're going to present it over there. If not, we're going to have to do that.
Right. Okay.
Okay, anything, the Bear County Coalition will have a meeting tomorrow at noon, Northside School District Administration. Okay, anybody else? Anything? If you look on your calendar, don't forget we have to adopt we have a public hearing and a special meeting to adopt the budget on the 26th. That's next Wednesday. And following that, we have a level 3 hearing at 7 p.m. No. No, sir. Okay. Also, we need to remind you that don't forget to bring at least one goal, measurable goal or two for when we meet with Dr. Mackey sometime in July. We're going to set up the date. Okay, anything else? Okay, moving on. Score, sir? Thank you, sir. That's all right. 2 points is nothing, sir. One basket. Okay, wow, discussion. Item 6, discussion and consideration of action items. A, consider and take possible action regarding approval of the nomination of a member of the local board to fill a position on the Texas Association of School Boards, and I believe that is Board of Directors for Region 20. Is that correct? Okay. I am going to nominate Mr. Gilbert Flores for that position. Not that it's automatic. This is just the beginning, because after that, remember, they have to compete with the whole Region 20. I understand Bernie is already out there, and Kerrville, and I don't know how many other people will be there. Do I have a second? Yes. Okay, second by Mr. Sellier. Discussion? No discussion? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Adair, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to put a couple of things on the record.
Yes.
The first is the item in our board book is dated May the 22nd on page 231. That was sent to the board president and the superintendent. And the board president is supposed to send all paperwork to all board members. So prior, and this is the second time this occurred in this district, when Mr. Cerna applied for that position, the board did not receive the packet of information that there was a vacancy. I'm not opposed to Mr. Gilbert Flores being on the TASB board. We both have went to Leadership TASB. Out of deference and my attempt to work cohesively with this board, Gilbert, I'm not going to apply. But I do want it on the record that, once again, the system was not fairly done. I was not provided the application or the notification. I did speak with Mr. Inman at SLI, and only one person can be nominated. They passed a new rule. So it's not a matter of both of us applying and then them voting on both of us. But I do want to be clear to all of my board members. Don't threaten me, and don't use the media Don't use outside entities. If you have an issue, the adult thing to do is to come and talk one-on-one. My goal this year is for us to rebuild our credibility in this community, for us to show ourselves as adults that are able to work together as a team. And we can't do that unless we show each other mutual respect. And so I just want to be very clear in where we go from here, because I've spoken to Mr. Salyer earlier this year, and we talked about we were going to work as a team. So I will not be voting. I will abstain from the vote, but I want to make it clear I'm not opposed to you, Mr. Flores, but I would have applied for the position if, one, I'd been notified at the same time, and two, if I didn't think it would cause disharmony on this board.
Thank you, Ms. Adair. I did inquire, for your information, ma'am. My understanding was that all board members were notified by TASB, okay? That's number one. When I inquired, they said all board members will be notified, okay? And I believe it was on the Star, the magazine that we get. It was saying that possible position would be available if a board member is not reelected. The other one, number two, is when I inquired, and I know that you were interested, and Mr. Gilbert had called me right away, and I said, how do you know there's an opening? He said, because Mr. Serna did not get the votes from his district. He's out. So there's an opening. Well, then, when I inquired that I called TASB, they said, well, there's 2 openings in Region 20. So I said, can 2 people be nominated from the same school district? And they said, well, we'll have to call you back. They called me back, said, well, this has never happened in the history of TASB, that there's 2 openings in Region 20. So therefore, it's going to be allowed, but, and this was on a Thursday, okay? They said, but if both people happen to win, only one can be a representative in the TASB Board of Directors. Number 2, on Friday, I got another phone call, said, you know what, there's going to be an emergency meeting Friday morning because you're not the only district that is having the same problem. There's several districts, so they're going to have an emergency, which they did. The TASB Board of Directors had an emergency meeting because of that situation, 2 people from the same school district. Then I did get a call saying, well, now it's been reversed. It cannot happen. Only one person can represent a district, and that was, but we were not the only ones involved, okay? And I'm sorry, maybe I dropped the ball in not sending it the packets. I know Jackie said, yeah, we got several packets. So, but if it was my responsibility, then I failed on that. And I'm sorry, and I apologize, ma'am. But I guarantee you, it won't happen again.
Mr. Flores. Mr. Salinas, please understand, thank you for the apology. By no means did I think it was a malicious intent on your part.
No, I understand.
So, but what we did hear at the TASB conference is they're having a recurring problem because they send information to the board presidents, not just you, across the state, and the board presidents are not redistributing it to the board members. So even if it was in the Star, the application was not, and all of the information. But when I requested it from, I actually requested it from Rosa, I obtained the packet. But like you said, the information was only one person from the district. Carlos from SAISD lost his spot because their enrollment went down. And Garland also lost their spot as a large. No, but what I'm saying is a lot of districts lost their large seat because their enrollment is down in their district. So this is across the state where they're going to have more openings come up, but only one person per district. But I just wanted clarity. I want to be clear. You know, it's better for me to be clear openly than for people changing what I say.
No problem. And again,
thank you very much.
And believe me, I call this young lady almost every day, ma'am, to make sure, is everything okay? Have we gotten anything? Because, and she knows right away, Ms. Salinas, don't worry about it, already dispersed it to all the board members. Because she knows that's what I want. Not just because it comes to the president. I immediately, and she knows. So she already knows me pretty well that sometimes when I call, she said, don't worry about it, I already did it. I said, okay. Okay, Mr. Flores.
June, I can understand, but when the election, results were in on the 11th, on the 13th, I called TASB, and I said, I'm interested in this. I took it upon myself to go to the TASB website and pull up. I had all this information to Mr. Salinas before he had gotten it, before the 22nd.
I didn't know that.
I mean, if that's what the deal is, I mean, it's the information is out there. All the application stuff, everything you need to talk to. I talked to Mary Briley. In fact, I'm the one that initiated the executive session because of the questions. And I talked to Bill Niemeyer. I talked to Jim Crow. Jim Crow even told me, hey, because of you, we had to have this meeting. But, I am, the fact that the information is out there, you shouldn't have to wait. If you're that interested in that position, then get it. That's the same way Josh got it when he did it. He didn't wait for, he knew that Sylvester was getting off, and so there was a position there. So that's where I took it from. And that's where, yeah. I understand that, June, but the level playing field is everything is out there in TASB. If they didn't tell you that the convention was coming up, you wouldn't know about it? No, okay, well, I mean. Well, I just want to say that he did not give me something special, and that's, yeah. I gave it to him.
Thank you. Okay, no further discussion? Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry. You went to sleep. Okay,
Well, no, I was not sleeping. When's the last time we had a Judson representative on TASB?
Never.
Never, right? So, yeah, I thought that it's time that we try to do that. So, best of luck to you, Mr. Flores.
Well, I see. I disagree with that, Ms. Adair. I think if you're not prepared when you get elected to be on this board, and you got to do all this stuff, I think there's some preparations you have to be for this board. Okay, so I resent that remark that everybody has to go to leadership TASB. It's not required for me to go.
To be on the TASB board of directors.
Oh well, I have no desire to do that.
Leadership TASB? No, ma'am. Ms. Bagley never finished. And Mr. Harper went, but he didn't get reelected. Oh, yeah, fine. Okay. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, all those in favor of Mr. Flores signifying by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? We have one abstention. Ms. Aiton. Oh, well, ma'am, you said you were going to abstain. Okay, I'm sorry, ma'am. Okay, we can move on. Oh, score. Oh, six. Okay. B, consider and take possible action regarding approval and establishment of the following positions and changes of the following job descriptions. We have a motion. We have a second. There on, I have just one. Yes. the way, I read them. But I'm not going to go through all the thing. Just one item that gets to me. On the job description, sir, no, I'm just saying, most of them you say where masters preferred. Maybe masters A plus, but it would be a plus to have a master's. Because I think it's very frustrating if somebody with a master's applies for the job, and then all of a sudden the person with the BA gets the job. It's very frustrating for the employees in the district that applies. Say, well, wait a minute, I had a master's, and then say, yeah, but I was preferred or whatever. So maybe that word preferred, maybe remove the word preferred. If you don't need master's, then don't even put it there. Either that or that it would be a plus. Yes, ma'am. Is that correct?
Preferred does mean that it is what we would like for our candidates to have. There are times that we will hire somebody who does not have that certain credential, maybe because they have skills or experience that compensate for it.
Well, because I do read this, the director of fine arts. I think, if you look for the education certification requirements, minimum of 3 years of successful.
3 years, sir. 3 years of, it should just read 3.
Oh, so it's not the 5. Okay. Okay, so the 5 would be a 3. Okay. I mean, that's teaching experience in STEM-related field preferred.
Science, math, or technology.
So somebody could be the STEM director and maybe not have some of those. Possibly? I don't know. I don't see that. I think we're going to have a STEM director. I think they should have the best requirements possible. Okay, that's it, sir. Anybody else? That was the only one, sir. Nobody? Okay. Oh, we have to vote on that. Yes. Okay, we were on item B. Yes, that's why I'm going to vote on it, right? Okay. Did we get a motion?
No, we already had a motion.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Mr. LaFoyle. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, likewise. C, consider and take possible action regarding approval of employee compensation plan for 2013-2014.
Motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Salyer, second by Mr. LaFoyle? Oh, Mr. Macias. Okay, Mr. Macias. I'm going by voice, ma'am. Okay, any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor signifying by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. Motion carries. D, consider and take possible action regarding approval of personnel report and updates, including new hires, resignation, administrative appointments.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Salyer, second by Ms. Adair. All those in favor of the motion signifying by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Likewise. Motion carries.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
President, I would like to, if Ms. Gill, please come forward. She is just voted on her to be the new Special Ed Director for Judson ISD.
Congratulations.
Would you like to say something, Ms. Gill?
Well, I'll be short. And thank you, Mr. Salinas, Board President, members of the board, and Dr. Mackey for this wonderful opportunity. I look forward to growing professionally under your leadership and to inspire growth in others as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.